Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're just giving it a minute for today's attendees to be able to get into the webinar.
I think a lot we're having issues with the link, Steve. Give me a second. I'm going to resend the link, okay?
Okay. We're getting reports that some people are having difficulties with the link. So bear with us. Just a couple minutes again. Luby is currently resending the link through an email blast. Hopefully, people will be able to get in without any issues after.
And Steve, I just figured out how to open the chat to everyone.
Oh, yeah, excellent. I think that what we needed was to have started the webinar. So today's webinar is going to be recorded. It's actually being recorded right now. And, welcome again, everyone, for joining us this evening. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here to join us in this webinar entitled Perfecting Your Pitch from Pitch Deck to Presentation. And on screen here today, you have myself, Steve Armand, the Director of the Microbusiness Program at Branches. We have Luby Samlar, who is the Micro Mentor at Branches as well, and our resident expert in business and branding. Someone who is going to amaze you guys with a great presentation, Michelle Kaba. Today's presentation is being brought to you as a co-hosted event with Branches and the Small Business Development Company Center at FIU, what we commonly refer to as SBDC at FIU. And we are both agencies in the SBA's Community Navigator program. I'm not seeing the participants' numbers ticking up as yet. So bear with us, just so you know, in terms of some general housekeeping. I'll start us off today with a very short presentation on Branches and what we do at Branches for those of you that are new. And for those of you, that are familiar, you would appreciate that this is an ongoing training program that Branches normally has on a Wednesday evening. And we normally do this as a co-hosted event with SBDC at FIU. And, today we don't have a very dear friend of ours with us. It's Jesus Padilla, who's on vacation. He's not able to grace us today with his presence, but as in, Jesus's fashion, he made sure that everything was done, to ensure that today's webinar would be able to progress with success. So we do want to thank Jesus, even though he's not here, for helping us, with all of the logistics in setting the webinar up today. Seeing the numbers starting to slowly tick up now, Michelle. So guys, I'm gonna start with our presentation because we do have a hard stop at 7 today. And I know that Michelle has some very interactive slides in terms of, the ability for you guys to engage her with questions and stuff like that. So if you do have questions, please go ahead and put it in the chat. And and we will address those questions as the presentation progresses. So I'm going to share my screen now, and I am going to talk a little bit about branches, and then I'm going to hand over the presentation to Michelle, who is going to do both the topic, but also introduce the SBA Community Navigator program and provide you some information on that as well. So permit me to just pull up my slides here. Right, so at Branches, we have a microbusiness incubator, and our business program is, is a program that focuses heavily on the business owner. And I think this is one of the main things that differentiates us from most programs, because at Branches, it is our fundamental belief that your business will only ever be as strong as you are. So we do focus heavily on the development of the entrepreneur and having the knowledge and the skills and the resourcing that is required to help you start, grow, or reinvigorate your business. So how we do this is we use a strategic framework. And as you can see in this slide, we have entrepreneurship, we have business systems, digital transformation, and business intelligence. And entrepreneurship is a part of the program where we focus on you, the person, the business owner, the business person, and what you need to grow successfully as someone who is able to manage their business effectively. In terms of business systems, these are your SOPs. So we do focus heavily on you getting the type of business structures and systems that is needed for a resilient, robust, and proper functioning business. So things like your HR system, your accounting system, your marketing, your customer service system, all of these things essentially is encapsulated in the training that we do and the knowledge that we share for the development of your business systems. Digital transformation, and Michelle is an expert in this space. Businesses cannot survive in today's business environment unless they embrace in a fundamental way the advantages that comes with digital digital access, digital technologies, digital facilities that make their business more efficient, more effective. And you cannot, in today's world, compete or even market yourself unless you embrace digital transformation as a concept in your business. And of course, business intelligence. And this speaks to the maturity of the business and the business owner, using experience on getting a good and firm command of what we call the 3 C's, the company, the competitive environment, and the customers, right? Understanding who requires your service or your product and how you go about supporting them and solving their needs. So we follow that strategic framework within an operational capacity. And to do that, we have one-on-one personal coaching, and we do that both at a personal financial coaching level as well as a business credit coaching, and of course the business coaching. And all of the coaching that is provided is one-on-one, where you require technical assistance and expertise that we do not have the in-house capacity to solve, right? We do lean on the technical expertise of the other members of the Navigator program. And we are able then to refer you to experts that exist in other partner organizations if and when you need that help. So one-on-one coaching is very important for us, and we realize that it is a key factor in developing you as the business owner. We also focus heavily on training. So most Wednesdays, 6 to 7, there is a training component where we help to develop and build your knowledge on this, on things that are very, very important to you, and always highly practical and relatable to what's happening in the, either in industry specific to your business, concepts that relate to your development, right? It's every Wednesday, and then on the last, normally the last Friday of every month, we hold an in-person training. We also focus heavily on mentoring and networking. And just a few weeks ago, Branches launched a community hub, right? Something that we call B1, Branches Encourage. And it's one network for everyone. That's the acronym, B1. And it is really an environment, a community hub for not just businesses that are in the Branches micro business program, but it's for every business that is located within Miami-Dade County. So the strategic framework is delivered through our operational framework. And these are some of the ways in which you benefit from what we do in the incubator. You have access to workshops, the B2B cluster meetups, which is part of the B1 exercise now. We have our conference, the first annual conference that will be held later this year. As I said, the personalized mentoring and coaching. We do have micro grants as well. And we've just added a layer where we'll be training you and assisting you with grant applications for, where we have providers who are able to supply access to financing for businesses that meet that criteria. So that's something that we've just added in terms of our training and preparation for businesses within Miami-Dade. Subscriptions and information access, networking, customized training and support. And this is what it would cost you to be a part of the program. Literally everything is provided at no expense at all to the businesses that come to the program for assistance. And we're able to do that because of the generosity of many funding partners and the generosity of our sister and brother organizations in the SBA's Community Navigator program. So I'm going to turn us over now to Michelle, who is going to share with you a little bit about the Community Navigator program, and of course, present today as our expert presenter. So Michelle, thank you so much. And I'm handing over to you now.
Thank you so much, Steve. So I will be going over the Navigator program before beginning the presentation. The Navigator program is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration. Sorry, I know I'm supposed to make this bigger. 1 second. Okay. What is the SBA Community Navigator pilot program? It was established by the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. The SBA CMPP uses a community navigator approach to help small businesses with economic recovery. It's comprised of a lead hub at the center of a network of spoke organizations that deploy community advocates to work with small businesses on recovery and resilience. 100 million has been granted to 51 grantees, and funding broken into 3 tiers. The goal is to improve long-term economic recovery and resilience among small businesses, and our focus is placed on businesses owned by veterans, women, as well as socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. So what is the Miami-Dade Business Navigator program? We partner with organizations such as Branches, Prospera, South Miami-Dade, Startup FIU Procurement, Ascendus, and Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce to bring great programming, such as the one that we're having this evening, to our clients. The coalition of partners secured $2.5 million via CMPP to create the MDBN program for Miami-Dade County businesses. And our focus is to create a strong local community navigator network to assist socially and economically disadvantaged businesses with consulting, mentoring, and training. So now let's get into tonight's webinar, where we will be talking about perfecting your elevator pitch. So going from pitch deck to presentation. What is a pitch deck? So a pitch deck is a necessary tool used to raise money for startup companies. A good pitch deck is a very powerful exercise in helping you improve your thinking about your business and helping you refine your plan. The point is for you to take a step back from working your business and actually seeing how your business solves a problem, what the solution is, and then giving really important factual information about how you're going to go to market, how you stand out against your competitors, and so on. A nice little quote: clarity matters. 80% of presentations, you don't know what the problem is until 15 minutes into the presentation. Why is this quote important? Because when you're pitching to investors, you have about 15 minutes to really explain the history and scope of your business. And so you want to make sure that your pitch deck is concise, is visual, and really speaks to the greatness of your business and why investors should fund you for your business. Before I go any further, has anybody ever seen Shark Tank? Give me a raise of a hand or say yes in the chat. Awesome. 8 participants, 9 participants. So then you understand what the stakes are in terms of presenting your business to people that are ready to give you money and invest in you, right? So the way that I presented this webinar is in a pitch deck form, so that way you can get an idea of how to create your own. So the first slide of your pitch deck should be the title of your company, right? You want to provide the title of the company, which is your company name, any relevant contact information for investors to reach you. Then you want to showcase your business, the history about your business. How did you get started? The bread and butter is in the story of your business, and you want to make sure that it's concise, it's clear, and it's impactful. The problem. Investors want to make sure that you are solving a very profound problem in the marketplace. So it's really important for you to be clear on the problem that you're solving. If you find yourself stumbling on the problem or the solution not being very clear, then it's time to take a step back and reevaluate what it is that your business really does. The more true the problem is, the more your solution is needed. Then you want to present the solution. Exactly how are you solving the problem that you previously described and identified? You want to make sure that your solution upholds to the values of the effectiveness, efficiency, and relevancy to the market situation today. So you definitely want to know what market you're in, how you stand against that market, as well as the industry. and who the end user is, right? Who you're providing the solution for. Competitive analysis. I consult a lot of businesses, and I'm amazed at how many people are not aware of who their competitors are or don't feel they have competitors. But the truth is, none of us reinvented the wheel, right? We just made the wheel better, efficient. So it's really important that you know how you step up against your competition and what your competitive advantage is. Because I promise you that at the end of your 15-minute pitch, your investor is going to do their due diligence on your company. And if you're not clear on how you're stepping into the game, they're pretty much going to call your bluff. So it's really, really important that you understand the market that you're in, how you're competing, and who you are competing against. Investors are putting up their own money, whether they are venture capitalists, whether they are angel investors, or what we like to call, when our friends and family lend us money, seed money. They want to know who is behind the company that wants to borrow these funds. What is your expertise? What are you bringing to the business that can really propel this business forward? So this slide is really important because not only are they investing in your business, but they're investing in you. Financial projections. You need to know your numbers. If you're asking for money, you need to know your numbers. So what is your business model? How did you take your product to market? Who are you marketing it to? How are you collecting payments? How many units of what you're selling can you provide and where? It's really important to show that in a visual and concise way with key metrics. Oh, so sorry about that. More often than not, you have been in business for some time before presenting this to potential investors. And so you should have a timeline showing traction, the milestones that you've hit with your business, right? So they want to see where you took it from nothing into something. And let's face it, many of our businesses took a hit during the pandemic. So if there's a dip where your business was in the red or didn't do so well, this is the time for you to explain what that is. And most investors right now are very understanding about COVID, right? And that's why they're eager to invest in businesses right now and startups, because so many innovative businesses came to fruition. So with this slide, you definitely want to keep track of your business model, how it's working, and show that in a very visual way. Use of funds. Well, you're asking for money, so they're going to want to know, how are you going to use the funds that they are going to invest in you? You want to use a pie chart or something visual again, and explain exactly how you're going to use the funds. Whether it's to market the product, you want to be clear on what that marketing plan is going to be. If it's launching a new product, you want to also be clear about why you're launching the product and understand where you stand in the market. And if you're building a sales team, have a plan in action. What is going to be that process? How many people are you actually going to hire? And the last slide should be a thank you. So you want to make sure that you write down what your hopes are for the future. You make a compelling argument as to why they should invest in your business. And don't forget to thank them for their time and for the opportunity to convince them that they should support your business. Follow the 3 C's. Be clear. Simplicity is the way to go when putting together a pitch deck. Be compelling. I'm sure we've heard a lot during, especially during COVID, that the money's in the story. So make sure you're compelling with the story of your business and where you want to take your business. And lastly, be credible. Don't fudge the numbers. Don't fudge the information, because they will do their due diligence at the end of your presentation. And if they find out that something is off, you're going to miss out on a really huge opportunity. So that's my presentation. Does anybody have any questions? The chat is open right now. Okay.
I think they're raising their hands.
All right. Are we going to allow them to talk, or do we want them to write it in the chat?
It's up to you.
We'll answer it from the chat. So one of the questions is, can we have access to these slides? Absolutely. I created the slides on Canva, so I can share the link with Jesus and with Steve and Luby. I just ask that you make a copy for yourself, so that way you have it handy. The next question is, do you recommend graphics? Absolutely, but make sure you don't get too crazy with the graphics. You want to make sure that's relevant to what the slide is speaking to, and that it conveys the story that you're speaking about, right? Can this be used for an app startup? Absolutely. I actually, with many of my clients, and some of the attendees here are my clients, I actually work with clients on building brand decks. Excuse me. And the brand deck, with time, can be turned into a pitch deck. So it can be used for any type of business. All right, the next question is, when doing the pitch, we present these slides during the pitch? Yes. So a pitch usually requires a visual presentation of what you're pitching about. Everybody doesn't retain information the same, right? So you want to make sure that they can visually see what you're talking about so that it sticks. When we are pitching, should we stick to something we're already doing or present something new? That's really up to you and your reason for asking for funds, right? Remember, you're pitching with the purpose of getting something in return, which is usually funds to expand your business. So if you want to launch a new product, then you should focus on the product. If you're not launching a new product and it's really just about propelling your own business, then focus on what you know, focus on what has been working on your business. Yes, this was a great PowerPoint. Would we be able to access it? So again, I created that presentation on Canva. I can share it with the link, and you guys can definitely modify it for yourselves. As for the presentation, Jesus will send it along with the recording of this webinar. What current software do you suggest for the pitch deck presentation? It's whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not a graphic designer, so I tend to use Canva to make my life a lot easier. But if you're comfortable with PowerPoint or with Adobe, I would say whatever platform will convey your needs and get you the result that you want. All right, yes, for use of funds. Is there a way to explain the use of funds to be used for expansion? I'm sorry. expansion in the business. Also, can we read directly off of a PowerPoint pitch when pitching? It's really important that you memorize your pitch. You are the visionary of your business. You want to make sure that you're presenting your business in the best light. And if you're not taking the time to memorize your pitch, then you're already sending a negative message to these possible investors. So I would say memorize it. I have seen people have like cue cards, but memorization goes a long way. It just shows your dedication to your business. Let's see. Okay, the next question is, what if we have different products? Should we pitch for each product separately? No, you're pitching for your company as a whole, and you're showing that your products speak to a market need. So you should be pitching for the business as a whole, as long as all the products are related to that business and the market share that you're trying to capture. Should we focus on one area of business when pitching, or the area that needs most attention? You should be focusing on the problem that you're trying to solve for. So your business is in business for a reason. You're solving a problem for a market, and in that market, it's segmented, right? So you have a total accessible market, which is that huge number that people always like to brag about when they say, oh, for example, in the coaching consulting industry, it's a $3 billion market. Okay, but it doesn't mean that me as a consultant and a coach, that I'm going to be able to penetrate a $3 billion market, right? So then that gets segmented into service accessible market, which means, okay, now that I am clear that I'm not just an overall consultant coach, I'm a business coach, what's that segment? So that segment could be 1 billion. And then that gets segmented again to what's called a service obtainable market. And what that means is that who's my niche? Who am I going after from that 1 billion? It could be a 5 million market or a $50 million market. So it's really important to be super clear about your products and services, how you're solving the market, who the market is, and what is that attainable market that you're trying to get to. What if you are the only person doing everything for your business? It depends on the business. If you're pitching for more money because you need to scale, then that's something you definitely want to reflect in your pitch. Any more questions? Thank you so much for the positive comments. I appreciate it. I tried to be as clear and concise. I didn't want to overspeak because I wanted you to get a really clear and real idea of what it is to pitch to investors. You don't have a lot of time. So you want to be very clear about your business, who you are, and speak about it within that time frame. So by a raise of hands, who's ready to pitch? Is anybody ready to pitch? Yes. Thank you, Jajette. She's ready to pitch. Sergey. Carol. Hi, Carol. Almost. I am awesome. There's plenty of money out there just waiting for your business to find it, to be honest, especially after COVID. we understood just how important small businesses play a huge role in our economy. So whether you're just starting as a solopreneur or you've been in business for a very long time, it's really a great activity to put a pitch deck together and start practicing, because who knows how far you can really take your business. Melissa, hi Melissa. Wow, I have quite a few clients here that I so enjoy working with. They are amazing. Steve, do you have any questions?
Just some stuff that I think I'd like to add to, I suppose, give some more perspective as well. So what businesses need to appreciate is that the preparation of the pitch deck is also valuable, not just, producing that pitch deck. And really it's an evolution to a lot of the information that you are already putting together for other documentation that's necessary for your business. So remember, when you're doing a pitch, it's because you're trying to convince someone to give you capital. And as Michelle is rightly saying, capital is not a problem. A lot of times when I would ask a business, I say, so tell me what's happening. A lot of businesses tend to say, well, they have a problem with capital. And really, that's never really truly the issue. The capital markets is saturated with investors and banks and grant funding agencies that's looking to give money to help businesses grow and thrive. But like I was in a meeting today and with a grant funder that normally funds small businesses, and approximately 1 in 4 of the applications succeed. And the other 75% do not succeed at the application stage because businesses have not yet taken the time to create the detail in print that is required to prove to an independent third party that their business is viable, that their business is sustainable, that their business is actually going to be a good place to have that money invested in. And that is, you can only produce that, you can only show that as it is reflected in the information you provide about your business. So one of the things that I'd like to add about that pitch deck is whatever data you use in the pitch deck, remember that pitch deck is an aid, it's a tool, right? It's something that you're using as part of an overall plan to access additional funding for your business. Or maybe you're trying to get someone to purchase the business, or maybe you're trying to get someone to join with you in a strategic partnership. The point is, a lot of what you put in your pitch deck is going to come from your business plan. A lot of what you put into your business plan is going to come from your business model canvas, your value proposition canvas. All of these things, we've already trained most of you over the last few months, and these sessions are recorded. The slide and the slide decks are sent to everyone. So my advice is, as you put your pitch deck together, you do want to review that training. You want to review those documentations. So I always say a pitch deck is a condensed version of your business plan's executive summary, right? But you also have to remember that the pitch deck might be something that you're using as an aid while you're presenting in front of a group of investors. So it might be coming up as a presentation, or you may hand them this as a portfolio that they can then look through as you're talking and maybe showing a video about your business, right? You can use a different mode of communicating the strengths of your business and why getting this money is going to be justifiable. However it's done, remember that the pitch deck is an evolution. It's a summary of data that you've been building that is very accurate. about the state of your business and, of course, what you're forecasting. So I do want to say, keep in mind it's a tool that you need to be able to use and to use effectively. And it is normally, and what Michelle said about learning, you know, and I don't want to use the word memorizing, but you do have to be able to communicate in a narrative, in a verbal narrative, you know, what is in your pitch deck, right? And that's in the actual pitch, right? We can condense this even further into something called the elevator pitch, which is like that 30-second, 1 minute, you know, talk that you can give about who you are and what your business is and what your business is about and the problem that you're solving, right? But
I just to add to your point, I just think that as business owners, we don't necessarily give ourselves enough opportunities to take a step back from working our business. And so when creating a pitch deck, it's an opportunity for you to get yourself out of the weeds of being everything
yes,
and not really being able to measure if everything you're doing is really working. Without the stress of having this like corporate 30-page presentation, right? But to really hyper focus on why you brought your business to market, you know, and what have you been doing? What has been the traction of your business from the beginning until now? Truthfully, if you don't write things down, you can't measure what you're doing, and you'll find yourself running yourself tired and saying, I'm doing all the things, but nothing is working. When quite frankly, you're doing all the things, but you may not be taking a step back and measuring what things you should really be focusing on. So a pitch deck is a great activity for you to do that, to take a step back, slow down. Maybe you'll get a nice, great idea to launch a new product, or maybe you'll realize that there's some products that you launch that you really shouldn't be focusing on, right? And focus on what does work. But also, it's a livable document. So you're going to constantly update this, right? You know, to Steve's point, if you want to bring in a partner, they're going to want to see numbers. They're going to want to see, you know, concisely and visually what you've been doing, why, and has it been working, and where can they affect change, right? So that's my recommendation is, even if you're at the beginning stages of a business, or if you've been in business for quite some time, it only helps you to put a pitch deck together and to prepare yourself, because you never know. You never know where you can take your business when an opportunity may arise.
another thing too, Michelle, is your pitch deck is actually a source of content for your social media, your marketing, your advertising, because you have information that you can pull from in different spaces as you communicate with different audiences, whether it's your customers, whether it's like, you know, stakeholders, partners, whatever it is, investors. You know, a lot of what you put, and that's why what Michelle said about this being a living document is so very powerful. And she hit the nail right on its head when she said that. It's something that's always evolving as your business grows, as information changes, as it evolves. It's always good to revisit this pitch deck and make sure that you're always on top of it. And just to put the training today in the context as well. So today you would have learned, Michelle would have taught you how to structure your pitch deck, right? Next week, we have the name of that training is titled Pitch Perfect. And in that webinar, you'll learn how the presentation skills, how you actually talk your pitch deck through a presentation, how you answer questions, you know, how you focus on the people that's in front of you, you know, where you would focus your discussions, how you would respond to certain types of questions. And that's the type of skills that we hope to be able to impart in you in next week's webinar. And then 2 weeks from then, in April, we'll actually be having a boot camp where you guys get to come in and practice your pitch with other businesses in small groups, all right? For those of you that want to do it for everyone, you will have that opportunity too, but it's the best testing ground. And it gives you something to work towards. It gives you something to a date and a place and a time to, to take this terrific information that Michelle has provided, put the details into that deck, then practice the pitch, evolve it in terms of how you would actually talk it through, and then come and practice it in front of a group of your peers, right? So it's all part of a system of training to help you develop the skills and the information so that you can access capital better.
We have another question. Can you do a pitch deck presentation to start your business, or do you already have your business in existence? Actually, you can have a pitch deck ready if you're just starting a business. We know of plenty of tech startups that started with absolutely zero funding, but had such an impactful presentation, pitch deck, and answered, an investor's questions so well and were funded. So you don't have to be an existing business to pitch, but know your audience, know who you're pitching to. How you pitch to a venture capitalist is going to be a different way than you pitch to a seed funder, or how you pitch to an angel investor. So this is when branding comes into play, right? Know who you're pitching to, know your audience, and make sure that your presentation speaks to them. Any more questions? I don't think we have any more questions, Steve.
That's a very good sign. It says that they're all in very deep thought, right? So guys, if there's no more questions, I do want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank Michelle again for such an outstanding presentation today. Remember, if you guys would like to have a one-on-one session with Michelle, Louie's going to send you an email tomorrow. Let us know, those of you that would like to have that session. And Michelle is kind enough to, to take you guys on as clients as well. So, Michelle, thanks so much. You've been amazing, and you've been very, very helpful to the businesses and to branches, and we will not ever forget your generosity. Louie, thank you as well. And I do want to say thank you to Jesus once again, everyone, for making sure that all of the logistics was in place for us this evening. And of course, I do want to thank each and every one of you for participating. We look forward to seeing you guys next week, Wednesday, same time, same place, for the next installment of this training. It's called Pitch Perfect. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. Take care.
You too. Good night.